Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Alessandro and in this video I'll tell you about my FIRE journey as a European, in particular as an Italian living in Poland. I'll tell you about the strategy I'm following to hopefully be able one day to live off the income generated from my investments. As I showed in my last video, I currently have a net worth of about €500,000. However, if we exclude the assets that aren't generating an income, what remains is more or less €333,000, which represent my actual investment portfolio. In this video we'll look into my numbers and we'll see how much I still need to achieve financial independence, considering the money I currently have and my projected monthly expenses for the future. But first let's take a step back. What is the FIRE movement? FIRE stands for Financial Independence or Retire Early. It's a philosophy that started in the United States, focused on achieving financial independence and retiring as early as possible. One of the most influential books for the FIRE movement is Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez. Over the years, other books, forums and blogs have helped make the movement more popular. One of the key figures in this space for sure is Mr. Money Mustache, who built a huge community around his blog by sharing his story of frugality, investment, and early retirement. One of the key concepts of the FIRE movement is definitely passive investing in the stock market through index funds or ETFs. In fact, the global stock market is the asset class that has historically provided the most predictable returns over the long term. Let's say between 7 and 10% annual return. So by investing systematically in the stock market and possibly in other assets like bonds to diversify your portfolio, it is indeed possible to generate a steady income. But other pillars of the FIRE movement are frugality, saving, and minimalism. By cutting unnecessary expenses and increasing your monthly saving rate, you can significantly speed up the process of achieving financial independence. For example, if you save and invest 40% of your income, you'll need to work 21 years of your life before you can live off your investments. If you manage to save 50% of your income, you'll need to work for 16 years. And if you increase your saving rate to 60%, you'll only need to work for 12 years. That's amazing in my opinion. These figures are based on the assumption of a 6% annual return on your investments, with annual expenses remaining unchanged. By the way, achieving financial independence as soon as possible is not always the final goal. In fact, there are different types and variations of FIRE, which have other specific goals. For example, there is the so-called coast FIRE, which involves saving and investing aggressively in the early part of life, then stopping contributions and letting the investments grow on their own until they reach a sufficient amount for the retirement. Or there is also barista FIRE, which focuses on achieving a semi-financial independence and supporting oneself with a part-time or less stressful job. But we will not go into too much details here to keep the video from getting too long. Okay, but so how much money do you actually need in order to retire and live off your investments? There is a percentage, the 4%, that is very important for the FIRE movement. This is known as the safe withdrawal rate, which is the percentage of your investment portfolio you can withdraw annually without running out of money, for at least 30 years. Which is the typical retirement period, and potentially even forever. In fact, there is a good chance that withdrawing 4% each year you will still allow your portfolio to grow over time. This 4% isn't a random number. It comes from a famous study by William Bengen in 1994, conducted on a portfolio containing a mix of stocks and bonds. According to this study, when you retire, in the first year you can withdraw 4% of your portfolio. Then in the following years you can withdraw the same amount adjusted for inflation. So roughly based on the 4% rule, to figure out how much money you actually need for your retirement, you can use this calculation. Just multiply your expected annual expenses by 25. For example, if you spend $3,000 per month, which is $36,000 per year, multiply that amount by 25 and you will see that your investment portfolio needs to reach $900,000, which is almost $1 million. In fact, the 4% of $900,000 is $36,000, which is your annual expenses. In reality, many people consider the 4% rule too optimistic and suggest adopting a more conservative safe withdrawal rate, such as 3%. This is because there are several factors to take into account, such as taxes on investment and the risk of sequence of returns. For example, if the stock market were to crash for several years right when you retire and start withdrawing, you might risk depleting your portfolio too quickly. So it's always better to be conservative when choosing your own safe withdrawal rate. That said, with these important points in mind, let's take a look at how my FIRE journey is progressing. I am 35 years old, Italian, but currently living in Poland, so I'm approaching this journey from the perspective of a European investor. Warsaw, where I live, is a European capital and life here has become quite expensive. It's no longer the affordable destination it was 10 years ago. Sure, the cost of living is still much lower compared to places like the United States or Switzerland, but there are also many other cheaper countries around the world. My monthly expenses are around 1,300 euros and I don't pay rent because I bought a small apartment here and I live in it. It's this one where I record also my videos, by the way. As for my income, it's highly variable since I'm an entrepreneur working online and my earnings fluctuate a lot. I have my own company through which I manage several online projects and I try to pay myself a fixed amount every month, which is currently around 3,000 euros net, but in reality it can vary. Then if the year goes well and the company ends up with a profit, I can pay myself dividends. My saving rate is close to 60%. It depends on the month, but that's the general average. For example, these last 2 months I didn't spend much money. And in December my saving rate was 67% and in January it was 62%. As I mentioned earlier, I have 333,000 euros invested. I've set a safe withdrawal rate of 3.5%. This is quite conservative, but I wanted to account for taxes. For example, I might want to withdraw 4% of my portfolio each year when I retire, but after taxes I will actually have less. So with 3.5% I feel more comfortable. Currently, if I decided to retire today, with this safe withdrawal rate I could start withdrawing 973 euros per month for the first month and then adjust this amount for inflation for the following years. However, I've estimated future expenses of 2,000 euros per month. While I always try to keep my expenses low, it's likely that I will want to or need to spend a little bit more in the future when I retire. So, comparing the numbers, we can see that I'm about 48% of the way to my FIRE goal. I'm almost halfway there. How long will it take to complete? That's something I cannot predict. It depends on many factors, the most important being how much I will earn from my online businesses in the coming years, and how well my investment portfolio will perform. I am aiming to reach FIRE as soon as possible. For me, it's all about peace of mind. That said, I'm not sure I would actually stop working once I get there. Probably not. I enjoy working on my online projects, and I'm already lucky not to have the pressure of answering to a boss. I'm very grateful for that, really. However, once I achieve FIRE, I might slow down, work less, or focus only on the projects that truly bring me joy. I honestly believe that anyone can eventually live off their investments. Some will get there sooner, some later, but it's possible for everyone. But of course, it requires a lot of discipline and a commitment to consistently increasing your income while keeping expenses low. I hope this video gave you some valuable insights, and if you'd like to follow my journey, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Every month I share updates on my investments and how my FIRE journey is progressing. Thank you for watching this video until the end, and I'll see you in the next one.